Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey, it's Debbie, and I just wanted to share with you a new device I have discovered. It is called BioSense. It helps me figure out if I am burning fat or carbohydrates for fuel. And this allows me to determine, am I needing to eat more carbs, more fat, whatever works for me, matching my fueling with my training and working on nutritional ketosis, but also metabolic flexibility that some days I want to be out of ketosis. So I can use this device without pricking my finger. It's a breath test, and it is super simple. And you do not need to pay any monthly membership fees. So BioSense helps you determine your fat burn and gives you information on how your diet and exercise impact your ability to metabolize fat and how to get into that fat burning state as well as out of it. So some of you might know that we don't need to be in nutritional ketosis 24/7. We want to be in and out of it. So check out BioSense, save with our coupon code LOWCARB20 to get $20 off your purchase. LOWCARB20, head to BioSense, myBiosense.com and learn more how to start testing and not guessing what fuel source you are burning today.
Hey there, it's Debbie, and I wanted to do another podcast on heart rate variability scores and how to improve them. So I pulled up some different articles you can see on this YouTube video if you're watching, how to increase HRV. And I found different articles from Aura and Whoop, of course, and there's HRV Elite and Sweetbeat and many others, as Hanu Health has lots of information and research-based articles. Now, I know a lot of you might not know the LF and HF, high frequency and low frequency score of your heart rate variability number. So if you listen to my podcast with Dr. Jay Wiles, yes. And then we talked about this. And then Rhonda Patrick and I talked about it again. So ideally use a heart rate monitor chest strap with an app as Hanu Health or Sweetbeat to get your real-time heart rate variability, not just your Aura Ring score with the little red light sensor on the back or your Whoop band with the wrist sensor or your Garmin watch. Not as accurate. And I like to see the breakdown. Anyways, how can you increase your HRV? So let's go through some of these articles because I see a lot of people. One, we are trying to collect data. Two is to do something with the data you collect, not just say, oh, my Aura score said this today, and I'm just going to continue on with my original plans for your workouts that day. Now, ideally, we work on using that score to adjust our workouts. And that's why I am coaching with TriDot, because we are looking at all sorts of information with TriDot program. And we can get, let's see, I don't think I pulled this up. But if you go to tridot.com, you can, wrong website, but TriDot will collect that data and adjust your workouts based on your scores. So if you go to TriDot, you can use my name, Debbie Potts, and you can have me as your coach. But Mark Allen's in there and lots of other top coaches are working with them. But part of TriDot is adjusting based on the stress. So we want to use this information from our Aura Ring, Whoop band, or however you're collecting your HRV, putting it into your training peaks. Or if you're working with me for triathlons and there's going to be a run doc coming out this year to track your information for how to improve your performance based on those scores. So what I'm saying is we got to use that data. Now, if your HRV is dropping, how can you improve it? So let's go back to this article. And this one is from whoop.com. How can I increase HRV? 10 things you can do. All right, let's go through these. Exercise and train appropriately. And we all know we're all exercising, but the problem is in our community, we're over exercising and recovering. But for those who are not exercising, maybe you know others that are struggling with improving their HRV scores, they don't exercise as much as you do. So studies show that regular exercise is one of the best methods for improving your heart rate variability. However, for serious athletes, it's important to avoid overtraining. Hello, most of you probably are. Strenuous activity reduces heart rate variability in the short term, so it is essential not to consistently take on too much strain without giving your body adequate time to recover. So there's more information. You can click on that link, explanation of intelligent HRV training. So you can go there to learn more, your guide to training. And that's something I'll put in the show notes, all these links. So good information. Number one. All right. Good. Whoa, what's that? Good nutrition at the good times. So they say here, smart and healthy diet, whatever that means. That's going to be varied depending who you talk to. Nutrient dense whole foods, I would say, benefit your HRV. But something many of us do not realize that the timing of your food intake can affect your HRV. So your body functions better when it knows what is coming, and regular eating patterns can help your circadian rhythm be consistent, right? So we're creating pattern. Additionally, not eating close to bedtime within 3 to 4 hours will improve the quality of your sleep and allowing your body to focus on restoration instead of digestion when you sleep. Okay, some notes on here. I have my clients stop eating before bed 3 hours or more. And that is another conversation about should you eat or not before your morning workout, because it depends how long you ate last and what your workouts were that day. But if we're talking HRV, I go to bed early because I get up at 4:30 to work out at 5:30. I tend to work out or eat last at, say, 3 o'clock, often my main meal, lunch, dinner during the week. So I need to stop eating before 8. If I go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm going to start eating at 5 p.m. because I know if I am eating close to bedtime, I do not sleep well. And alcohol is coming up next, but alcohol also impacts your HRV and drinking too much. So focusing on nutrition, what you eat, when, why, and how is what I work on with each client, because it's going to be a little different looking at your whole schedule and your life schedule and your workout schedule and your just general work schedule. Okay, so not eating close to bedtime, 3 to 4 hours. Remember, sleep is when we recover and repair. So not eating too close to bed, because then you're going to be working on digesting your food, especially if you have a heavy protein meal. It takes a lot longer to break down. So that's why we want another bonus to save your carbohydrates for your evening meal. And that will help you because it's easier to break down. Okay, so hydration. Your level of hydration determines the volume of your blood. And the more liquid you have in your system, the easier it is for the blood to circulate and deliver oxygen and nutrients to your body. Drinking close to an ounce of water per each pound that you weigh is a daily goal. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you want 100 ounces of water a day or half of that. So you want to get ounces of water in, usually half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 150, you want to get that half of that in ounces of water, is what I have been told. So we want to get enough water, and that's with minerals, not just hydrating with plain water. If you're exercising and sweating, you want to put back those minerals that you lost through sweat. Now, with the HRV, the WHOOP members on this article, they've tracked that they sufficiently hydrated, the HRV increases with proper hydration by 3 milliseconds. So if you are dehydrated, your HRV will drop. And that you can tell too, if you overexercised and you're dehydrated, say you're working out in the summertime, you might find your heart rate drops or HRV drops. Okay. And we talked a little bit about this before, and I mentioned this earlier, but HRV and alcohol. If you notice, I know a lot of people don't drink alcohol. in our community because their HRV score just drops, which means usually my deep sleep score is dropping too. So with alcohol, HRV drops an average of 22 milliseconds the next day. Additionally, their research has discovered that the lingering effects of alcohol in your system may continue to suppress your HRV for 4 to 5 days. Whew. On the other hand, staying away from alcohol will just do the opposite. Interesting. So if you do drink alcohol, I have a rule, 1 to 2 drinks maximum. And I only drink once, maximum 2 times a week. And lately I haven't been drinking like since December for a couple months. Maybe I've had 1 drink since December. So look at what you're drinking when, are you able to move afterwards? Help that alcohol not drinking too much, going to bed. But notice how alcohol affects your deep sleep score and your HRV. Might be motivator to cut back on drinking so much, especially those people that drink every night. I know most people drink every night and I just don't understand why. And they think it's healthy and it's not. I don't think so. If you look at these scores, you can tell alcohol impacts your health and recovery. Okay, number 5, sleep well consistently. So putting this all together, getting all your sleep that your body needs is a great start, but equally as important is making an effort to go to sleep and wake up regular times each day. So sleep consistency will boost your HRV by helping you sustain a circadian rhythm and enables you to spend more time in REM and deep sleep. That's why it's great to have these devices that you don't know what you don't know. So test and not guess, but really go back to the first one, eating 3 hours, stop eating 3 hours before bed, even 4 hours before bed, not drinking alcohol before bed, hydrating properly throughout the day, not too much before bed because that impacts your sleep if you're going to the bathroom all night long, sipping on your water throughout the day, not just pounding it and drinking it really all at once. So that impacts your sleep. But creating a sleep schedule is working on this for my clients, but how do you start the day? And how do you end your day will help creating that sleep hygiene routine for you. So it's not just stop eating before you go to bed. 3 hours is just the whole evening routine, but also the morning routine, getting that eye exposure to the morning sunlight. Okay. So that's another conversation I'm working on, putting together a blog and podcast for that. What is your sleep hygiene routine? How do you start the day? How do you end your day? But that will help your HRV score. So this all correlates, right? So natural light exposure, again, sleep, circadian rhythm. So going outside in the sunlight after waking up in the morning and watching the sky change from a light to dark in the evening can trigger biological processes involved in regulating the sleep-wake times. See what we just talked about, sleep consistency above, energy levels, and hormone production. This will also improve alertness, mood, and vitamin D production. So really important how we start the day, as I just said, getting outside, seeing that natural light. Get up and move. Low intensity exercise is better than waking up in high intensity, especially when you have cortisol levels already up naturally. And then if you already have hyperadrenic, we don't want to do high intensity stuff first thing. So that's your Dutch test. Now, looking at morning and evening, sunrise, sunset, that will help your HRV, as well as overall, we can see this pattern of how this is impacting our deep sleep. Okay, next is cold thermogenesis. I'm into the heat. Cold, I'm often cold. I like being warm, but cold exposure, I know it's a huge thing right now, right? Kind of a trend. Exposing yourself to cold temperatures for brief periods of time. I like the 20, 30-second intervals rather than 2-minute plunges, but brief periods of time, cold shiver, cold showers, ice baths, getting that shivering helps that brown fat, another bonus, but stimulates the vagus nerve. And if you understand the gut-brain connection, the vagal nerve, we can also know that the parasympathetic, that nerve that connects the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve connects from the gut to the gut, that will help stimulate the parasympathetic. So the more vagal nerve tone, that's how we're measuring with the HRV. So the stimulating the vagus nerve activates the parasympathetic branch of your autonomic nervous system, and this controls your heart rate variability, HRV. So doing cold thermogenesis first thing in the morning might be beneficial for people. I kind of like doing my sauna and then doing brief cold shower to cool back down. But ideally, I think hot cold is kind of a good little trick to do. Okay, number 8, intentional breathing. So studies indicate that slow, controlled breathing techniques can positively impact your HRV. And this is what I find in most of the articles say this. It's the breathing. So this will also help combat stress, which has shown to inhibit heart rate variability. So as you know, my platform is all about chronic stress externally, and hidden internal stressors impact the whole you, and all efforts of your exercise training program and trying to eat nutrient-dense whole foods really gets impacted, or gets really goes everything, all your efforts out the door if you're chronically stressed. So that's how we live life, but also the hidden stressors in our gut, in our body, inflammation. So what you can do, free thing, again, all these are pretty free: seeing the sun, going to bed earlier, getting a sleep schedule. You're waking up 4:30 in the morning, and then you're going to bed at 8 p.m. Consistency. Your body likes that. Now, it likes variation in other things, but the sleep schedule will help HRV. Now, breathing, controlled breathing techniques. That's what Hanu Health has with their app. If you listen to Dr. Jay Wiles, he's been doing a lot more on social media, sharing research-based information on the breathing, how it impacts HRV. So look at Dr. Jay Wiles on Instagram. So you can learn about breathing methods, how they work, on multiple articles. Cold thermogenesis, breathing, now mindfulness and meditation. So this is through WHOOP, and their members have reported that practicing mindfulness or meditation can lead to improvements in their HRV. So slow breathing techniques, as we just talked about, more intentional breathing will help you reduce stress. So basically, you see pattern: managing your stress, improving your vagal nerve, helps your HRV. So breathing and exhaling. I know Huberman Lab, I pulled up one of their articles, but research that they actually had done right around COVID and published their results is a big sigh. So 2 little short breaths and exhale. That really helped people's HRV with the breathing exercises. Of the breathing exercises out there, that was one that helped the most. Okay, last one on this list, gratitude journal. Part of my evening routine, I've been consistent last few years, is writing in my journal things I'm thankful for that day. And gratitude journal, they're saying here in this WHOOP article, can help elicit corresponding uptick in your HRV, your heart rate variability. So this also is linked to lower blood pressure and decreasing its stress hormones. So managing your stress goes with that HRV. So another article they have on here, choices, self-rule, choices, HRV, and immunity. You can look at that article as well from WHOOP. And I think as Dr. Huberman Lab, Andrew Huberman on his Huberman Lab show talk a lot about what are these free things that we can do. And Dr. Mindy talks a lot about that too. What can we do that's free to improve our HRV? Well, go back to your number 1, exercise, train appropriately. Number 2, good nutrition at right times. Number 3, hydrate. 4, don't drink alcohol. 5, sleep well and be consistent. Natural light exposure, cold thermogenesis, intentional breathing, mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude journal. I don't see any of those that cost money except for eating the food that you buy. So those are pretty simple to improve your HRV. So you can go check on this article and you can learn more about what are the average ranges based on age and gender. Note that the HRV score on WHOOP is different than the scores on Aura, so you can't compare the two. So always look at your score and don't compare them against other people. Just know what your baseline is and what you can do. So other articles, 5 ways to control stress, improve heart rate variability, strengthen immunity. Great article that I just shared the link, but practice gratitude, adopt a growth mindset, live your values, engage in relationships that bring you value, focus time and attention on what you can control. Those are some big, easy, but maybe challenging tips for a lot of you. So I think those are really important. Again, free. Okay. So next, let's go. Other article to look at more is the WHOOP heart rate variability training article. And you can look at this. It's very small font, but functional overreaching. What does that mean? And look at, are you overreaching? Signs of overtraining. They have some information on here. If you are 1 to 2 yellow recoveries a week, HRV suppressed, baseline going down, dropping 25 to 30 milliseconds, resting heart rate is elevated. So good signs of overtraining there. So let's look at other solutions to improve your score. So Hanu Health has a good article if you want to learn more how to interpret your HRV scores as an athlete. So you can read this article. I won't go into this one, but having it long-term mindset, HRV, exercise and rest equal important. So check that out. Okay, another article I want to touch on, Aura Ring. So same thing, probably said different ways, but let's read it again because this kind of repetition helps us absorb it and gets it in our head. How to improve your HRV. Stay active. One of the most effective ways to lower your resting heart rate and increase your HRV is staying active. Regular exercise a few times a week can lead to improved HRV and helps for sedentary individuals. But for you guys that were already active and often overtraining, if you're trying to get a higher HRV score, using that HRV monitoring into your routine and watch how your consistency of the scores change can improve your performance. So training with better HRV, good article to read on here. But I think going to my mantra of my new world is less is more is not better. So if your HRV is dropping, you're probably overtraining. So don't try to push through it. I have a friend who doesn't track her HRV or anything, and she's training for a marathon. And then she's got like 2 weeks later doing Oceanside 70.3. And I just went, okay, this is probably how I used to be. And this is crazy to listen to people doing, for example, a 22-mile run on Sunday, swimming hard on Monday. And then she did a speed workout Tuesday morning. And then we swam Tuesday at lunchtime. And she was exhausted. And I really wanted to say, hey, are you tracking your recovery? Are you using any metrics to know, is your body bouncing back to training again? So you have done a speed workout when you're still broken down from Sunday. And how do you want to get ready for a marathon and properly recover and taper at the same time for a triathlon? So I really think athletes need to track and use this data to their advantage, because maybe if you listen to your HRV, if it's dropping, that you make those adjustments, that you're actually going to get stronger and faster if you pay attention to these red flags before it's too late. Like when I got my adrenal exhaustion 10 years ago, I did HRV testing and after the fact, but before that, I didn't know about it. And we didn't have devices as Aura and Whoop to track. And we didn't have Apple Watches and all this stuff to collect data, but it's more collecting data and realizing when there are red flags that, oh, I'm digging myself a hole. I need to stop, pause, and reset, reboot my system by doing some active recovery days, walking on the beach, going for a nice nature hike, doing some low heart rate exercise. So anyways, get good sleep, we know is important for HRV. So sleep is just as important as exercise. I was just finishing listening to Huberman Labs last of the 6-part series with Dr. Andy Kaplan. And I need to go back and listen to their endurance one. It's 3.5 hours long, but I just finished their last one. And he was talking a lot about sleep and how that's the best for recovery and repair. It's all about sleep because this is when your body heals. And I have to remember glutamine before bed. If you're doing a protocol for gut repair, good time to time that when your body's healing, repairing while you sleep, having some glutamine. So 10 tips for better, deeper sleep. You can click on here to go into that one. But I think getting better sleep to improve your HRV is similar to improving HRV, give your screens a break at least 1 hour before bed, stick to your reasonable bedtime, even on weekends, find your ideal room temperature, save your large meals, heavy workouts for the daytime. That's a big one for me. Schedule some time to unwind, having a bath, or I've been in yoga at night and I read at night and write my journal. But think about how you would train a muscle is a good point. The more you practice engaging your rest and digest system while you're awake, easier it is to generate the same response at night and get quality sleep. Trade the late night glass of wine for extra deep sleeps, avoiding the alcohol, moving late night espresso to midday. I have a rule, no caffeine after 11 a.m. And then exercise. You don't want to exercise late at night. So when I go to the gym, 5:30 in the evening, I don't do anything hard, high intense. It's just more some lifting, mobility work, and yoga, Pilates kind of stuff, prehab, rehab, and then save my harder workouts when I work best earlier in the day in the morning. Okay. So reserve your bedroom for rest and recovery. Naps are great. So those are some articles, how to get better sleep. But let's go back to article on how to improve HRV. Next one is breathing. So as we went into the WHOOP article, same thing as they say in HRV Health is about deep breathing techniques. Yoga, mindfulness, meditation, biofeedback can help strengthen the parasympathetic nervous system to improve your HRV. Now, remember the LFHF score, high frequency is parasympathetic, low frequency is sympathetic. So it's opposite. And then you think high frequency would be sympathetic, but it's parasympathetic. So keep in mind that your HRV is likely going to be higher during the activity itself than nighttime values. So working on the breathing close to what HRV Health, Dr. Jay Wiles talks about, resonant frequency breathing is 6 breaths per minute. So the research is still emerging if these daytime HRV values can increase, helping improve your resting and nighttime HRV. But it's one of the many tools you can access easily, and it's free, breathing. So it's some information on how your HRV scores. I know we've been doing this yin yoga type of stretching at nighttime for 15 minutes, and doing that with breathing exercises is tracking our HRV if that's improving our HRV. So also listening to your body and managing stress will help HRV. So now we keep talking about stress. Stress impacts HRV. So if your HRV is dropping, you're under stress. If it's physical, mental, emotional, financial, it's all impacting the vagal nerve. And using Aura will give you your average nighttime HRV. So tracking that and finding what your HRV balance, and looking at that. So we want to look at your score, your average, and look at how WHOOP tracks it, and then look at how Aura tracks it going to be differently. So again, don't compare the two. But optimal, good, pay attention. They'll give you those scores, HRV balance versus HRV average, and the patterns that they're collecting for that. So you can go check this out. HRV balance allows you to set longer term HRV goals, aiming for gradual increase in your HRV average, taking steps to improve your overall health and fitness, looking at that. But I think HRV balance, long-term stress, impact of illness, disrupted sleep, and overtraining are really important trends to see if you have those patterns. Okay. So for me, those are red flags when I'm working with my clients. I track their HRV, their blood sugar with their CGM or Keto Mojo, and then putting this into their Practice Better and Training Peaks program, and really seeing red flags, because we want to catch the step before it gets to be a problem that'll take years to repair from. So we want to see this now. Now, if you see increase in HRV balance, that may indicate optimal training. So you found that right work and recover balance, and managing your stress and your sleep and all the other lifestyle factors I talk about in the holistic method. So optimal training, if your body is naturally rebounding from acutely lower days after a hard workout, it's a sign your body's handling the training load well. In the long-term, physical fitness can increase HRV. So often I find for clients, especially as aging athletes, we need a hard day and then 2 easy days. A hard day, if you do hard day and then hard day too close to each other, your performance goes down, and HRV is going to show that as well as your sleep scores. So observe changes in HRV balance. Nighttime HRV captures physiological state. Daytime readings are more likely to reflect short-term stressors. HRV balance is based on averages and will react to more sensitive individuals, have bigger fluctuations in the HRV readings. And HRV can react to several factors at the same time, which means they're looking at what is causing the changes, looking at that, what I do, investigate what's actually going on. So externally and internally, as overtraining, stress, prolonged illness, the combination of stressors, remember that beaker of stress doesn't have different buckets. It all goes into one. So being in touch with your daily score, paying attention to your metrics, not being obsessed about it, also have more intuition. How do I feel? Do I feel tired, but my aura or Whoop says I'm good, but I feel like crap, or I kind of feel depressed, or I feel like I'm still recovering. So listen to your body and not be married to those numbers, I think is another thing to look at. So HRV balance requires a week of data before it reflected in your app. So if you just started using a device, make sure you know it takes time to get your balance. So work on your sleep is important. Now I found another article on drjohnday.com. So exercise, yoga, how it seek and improve your HRV. So 17 ways to increase HRV and life expectancy. They talk about bump up your exercise time, yoga, intermittent fasting, eat more green leafy vegetables. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence in the leafy vegetables, but looking at more ones that help for liver detoxification and looking at the microbiome, probiotics and prebiotics and polyphenols. Optimize your sleep, daily meditation, slow, deep breathing, decreasing commuting time. I think we've done that, working at home, eat more omega-3 foods. So more omega-3 fatty acids, having that wild caught piece of salmon, having those anchovies, sardines, those little fishies that I don't like, but they're good for you. Even if you don't like fishies, you can do flax and chia seeds. Nut butters, nut seeds have omega-3, but looking at your balance omega-3 to omega-6s. And practice forgiveness, listening to calming music, which I really like. You know, they haven't said other ones in here, humming, gargling. Those are what we used to talk about, how to improve HRV is gargling. You know, when you brush your teeth, maybe put water in there, gargle. You can hum in your car, that vibration of the vagal nerve. And we'll talk to my friend Jody Cohen of Vibrant Blue Oils next month about how to use essential oils to activate that vagal nerve and how we can use that to improve our HRV. Healthy work environment, I think, is important. I know chronic stress. And I must say, too, I see a lot of people working at home and with electronic devices, emails, texting. Really important, side note, to set boundaries. You need to say, I'm not available till 8:00. We need to create that habit. I'm not checking email first thing in the morning. I don't check email until I'm ready to focus on my work day. And especially checking emails and text before I work out, because that will interrupt my workout flow, my energy, positive vibes for the day. So I don't look at my information on my phone, a cell phone, emails until I've worked out, showered, sat down or standing up at my desk. Really important. Evening time, I shut off. So I have to tell my clients this, like between 8 and 5, I'm around. After 5:30, I usually go do a workout, walk, go to the gym, do something, yoga. I don't look at my phone. Usually I turn it off, put it in the other room after 7. Because after 7 p.m., because I do go to bed at 8, I do yoga. I write my gratitude journal, my manifestation journal right now. And then I read at least 3 pages, not much. And then I fall asleep. So breathing exercises as I fall asleep. So if you don't set boundaries morning to evening when you're available for work, I think that is a big stress for people because they're always on. You need to shut it off and disconnect. So unplug to connect to your loved ones, disconnect, unplug so you can focus on you. So work time, that's a side note, but that I think would help your HRV because that is stress being on all the time. And especially a side note too, I don't have any messages beeping and notifications. So if you have a lot of sounds, bells and whistles on your phone all the time, it's very annoying to me. And I turn off my phone when I'm working and then volume on when I'm around, but I don't have any of the notifications on my phone. They're distractions. So that is sources of stress that impact your HRV. Other things, Tai Chi, more time in nature, and prayer. Those are other things on this list that I found. But going back to, stress, breathing exercises, all these are helpful ways. So you can look up all the links I'll put in the show notes. So breathing, sleep, balance in your exercise, hydration, avoid alcohol, work-life balance. We're just talking about, I think that's a big part. And gratitude journal, time in nature, yoga, all these. Oh, I didn't go into this one. Oh, this is elite HRV. So we said all these, but the gratitude journal, we talked about spending time in nature, start your yoga practice. I like Travis Elliott. They're free ones on YouTube. I pay for his app, but you can just get a lot of them free. I send to my clients. Yoga, meditation, a weighted blanket. I have that on my bed. It makes amazing, deeper sleep, and tracking. So look at your sleep score. Look at your lifestyle, work on what you can do, breathing exercises, nature.com. I found some articles, breath work, and stress and mental health. So that all breath work and stress, anxiety, depression, you can track that with your HRV. And looking Huberman Lab, how to breathe correctly on one of their not million, there's a lot of podcasts now, but there's great breakdown and timestamps because they're so long. I can never find everything. So sleep, apnea, nasal breathing. There's all sorts of breathing links in here. So breathing and heart rate variability, minute 39 on there. You can find what they say, deliberate cold exposure and breathing, mouth versus nasal breathing. So you can look at Huberman Lab episode, how to breathe correctly, but, checking out this timestamp on breathing. Where'd it go for the HRV one? I just lost it. So anyways, those are some thoughts today. I think I see a lot of people, their HRV scores really low, and we want to see what is your normal, not what your number is compared to my number, but look at what you can do to optimize those numbers. So how can you improve your HRV score? Is looking at what I call the holistic method. So it's not just how you train, what you eat, but when, why, and how. And looking at timing everything, look at how you start your day, end your day. How do you time your nutrition with your fueling? Work on those breathing techniques, even while you're driving, if that drive is stressful for you. Take a moment to reset. Another good thing is before you start eating, mindfully eating versus mindless eating, sitting and eating, but taking 3 deep breaths in and out before you start eating. Because we get going. We're rushing one thing to the next. So pause and reset, put in those little breaks. If it's just 1 minute of breathing, you'll feel yourself relax and shift that parasympathetic nervous system. And that will show up in your HRV score. So using your data, but remember, paying attention to your intuition, how you feel, how your body feels, and look at just the big picture. So collect that data, but let's do something with it. All right. Let me know if you have questions, debbiepotts.net, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.